What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about OnyxCoin today, XCN USD. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here, and let's get into it. Okay, it's the 22nd day of January, and here we are sitting at about $0.00715 with roughly 9.5 hours left in the day. We had a little bit of a recovery yesterday, moving up 16%. That's nice. Again, it's kind of funny how, most of the time throughout this range, this price would be depressing, but after yesterday's pump up, it's kind of relieving to see the price here, right? I do believe that we found our lows. We can go lower. We absolutely can go below this low. But I'm pretty confident here that this is the low, and if it's not the low, we're very, very close in proximity to it. We look here at this relative low to this relative high, and you can see that you bounced right off the golden ratio. I mean, you had a very immaculate reaction. Now, what I will say, that's something we might want to avoid, is going back down to this area, right? Because statistically speaking, when you bounce off the golden ratio zone, like we just did here, when we go to the 0.5382, statistically speaking, when you go here and then you come back down, you're likely to not hold this area as support. You're likely not to do this. Likely, more likely, you would go down to the 786, 886, and that would be a bit of a problem, right? I don't know about you guys, but it would really suck to just be holding this all the way through just for it to go all the way down here. Like that's annoying. That's really annoying. It's no fun. And if we want to avoid that, well, let's just not go back down to the golden ratio. There is still a chance that we could find a double bottom, slightly lower low, something like that. That could happen. But statistically speaking, in these kind of environments, you would generally expect a break of the golden ratio, not support off of it on the second attempt. It can happen. It can be. It's not impossible. It's not even statistically unlikely. It's still a pretty likely thing to happen that we could double bottom bounce out of here. But the more likely thing would be that we go lower. So again, I would like to just avoid all those worries, all those concerns entirely, and just stay away from the golden ratio. That doesn't mean we can't move lower from here, but just don't touch the golden ratio. Don't touch it. Don't do it. Because if you do, again, then the statistical probability that we go somewhere in this zone goes up a little bit, okay? Even if we go down here, even if the statistical probability is that we could go down to this level now, I'm not selling anything. I'm holding, and I will buy more if it happens to go down there. We look at this here on the 1 hour time frame, and we'll see what our heading is. We'll look at the 1 hour and the 4 hour time frame, and we'll just see what the indicators are telling us. 1 hour time frame here, a little bit of consolidation. It's almost like you had a bull flag, right? Like you have this kind of bull flag look. I know that it was exciting, and I know that yesterday people probably didn't want to hear me say this, but I was saying that we probably do come back down a little bit, back test the golden ratio of this retracement here, find support there, and then continue to rally. I thought that it would have happened by now. The fact that we're consolidating a little bit longer is boring. It's not concerning, but I do think that we come down a little bit, right? This hanging out in this area, all that does is build anticipation. So when we do break out, that'll probably cause some fear, some panic, some panic selling. And that might be a perfect storm to bounce from, right? Because panic selling is typically the end result of a move down. Whenever people start panic selling, that's typically when you start to move up. We're looking at this here from a low to a high, and the golden ratio right there at 0.00697 is right here, perfectly filling that gap there on the 1 hour time frame. We just bounced right off the golden ratio here, like literally right off that line. So I would imagine that we could do the same thing here, where we come down, we bounce right off of it. It could even be somewhat of a fake out, right? You've got this consolidation phase here. You break out, and it's a fake out, and then we come back up. That would be really nice to see. What we're looking for, what I'm looking for, is support at 0.0697 to 0.0686. I don't want to see us go below there. I would like us to go down there, find support, and then have an immediate reaction up. We've got how much time left in this day? We've got about 9 hours, 30 minutes left in this day. I would love it if by the end of today we were back above prices that we're at now. We just had a quick reaction down, coming back up. That'd be nice to see. If we do something like that, I'd be very confident that we are going to move higher, that we are going to break out of this overall to the upside. And again, it might seem like with this setup here that we're breaking out to the downside, right? if we go down to fill this gap that we're breaking out to the downside. But if you look at it in a different way, different perspective, lower highs, lower lows, kind of a parallel channel down. If we go down to fill that gap, we might find support at the base end of this kind of range and then move up, which actually makes sense, right? So in a sense, we'll break out without actually breaking out, right? It'll seem like we're breaking out because we're breaking out of this flat zone here, but really we're not breaking out. And if that's true, we shouldn't really see too much volume. It can be above average, but we don't want to see anything that's like this or larger. We want to see very small amounts of volume as we're coming down. If there is large volume, it needs to be in the form of a wick to the downside. There's so much volume that it pushes us back up. But anyways, looking at the 1 hour, I'm pretty confident that we do, as I was yesterday when we were at like a little bit higher levels here, pretty confident that we do go down to about 0069, 00698, somewhere in that area, maybe a little bit lower, but hopefully not too much lower. The 1 hour RSI has been cooling off. The benefits of moving sideways like this in a nice tight range is that your RSI goes from being super hot to it's very cooled off now, right? We're at the same levels in the RSI that we were back here when we were at the lows, so that's, and we haven't moved that low, so that's actually really nice to see. The stochastics here are crossing up a little bit, and the MACD is right at the zero. It's a perfect area to bounce from. You even have a little bit of bullish divergence there. With all that being said, my friends, just because there's a gap here doesn't mean that we're moving down. It doesn't mean that we have to move down. Again, this is not technical analysis, the gap. It's more of a superstition, right? It's a statistical probability. Technically, that's true, but it's more of a superstition, right? If I was convinced, I feel like the most predominant reason why I believe we're going to go down here is not the golden ratio. It's certainly not the indicators. The indicators, in my opinion, are actually at a point where I would think that we move up rather than moving down. The indicators kind of hint at the fact that we're going to move up, not move down here. But I am a little bit superstitious with these gaps. They almost always work out. But if I had full faith and conviction, if this was something that was 100% accurate, guaranteed going to happen, I would have sold yesterday when we moved up, whenever we were at these highs, right? And I literally told myself, I'm not selling here to try to buy when we're down here, because if I play, and I wouldn't have sold all my OnyxCoin, just a small bag to play with, as I have in the past. If I were to play with this at all, what happens if it just pumps from here? What happens if I'm wrong? I'll be like, well, it was supposed to go down there because of a gap. That's just such a dumb reason. If that's your only hope, is that, oh, there's a gap, this means it has to go down there, that's not a good enough reason. And for me, as far as reasons go, that's the best reason that I can find why we go down, because everything else is really suggesting that we're probably about to move up. But with that being said, even if we do move down, everything else still looks good. We're still in a prime position to pump from there. Take it or leave it. But in a take it or leave it environment, I'd rather not play the game. Does that make sense? It's kind of how mentality works. Don't be a degenerate. Just because you see an opportunity doesn't mean you have to take it every single time, because there'll be some times that you're wrong, right? And I am calling for us to go down to 00698 and just a little bit below there. But I could be wrong. And I would rather not play the game and be right than play the game and be wrong, because what's coming next is going to be, it's not going to be worth playing the game down here, at least not in my opinion. The 1 hour indicators are all kind of reset. They look ready to rumble. We'll see if they do. 4 hour time frame here, your RSI did break out of the downtrend, right? You did break out of your downtrend, so that's nice. That doesn't mean that you're automatically moving up. That doesn't mean you're automatically in an uptrend, but that's at least nice. That's definitely a powerful signal, and it signals that we are at, if not very near, the low. So that's very comforting. The stochastics are right back at the 50. This is a perfect area to bounce from. Sometimes we do that, sometimes we don't. Here on our way down, we found resistance at the 50 and then pushed us lower, found resistance there. Here on our way up, maybe we find support at the 50. We did that back here. We've done that prior times as well. It can definitely happen here as well. Oop, that's not what I meant to do. Looking at the MACD is a little bit bearish. I mean, the RSI is a little bit bearish, the stochastics are a little bit bearish, and the MACD is bearish. But these two are in bullish posturings, more or less. The stochastics, I guess, is in a bearish posturing, but you're at an area where you could expect a bounce from. The MACD is bearish overall. I don't really have a lot to go off of with the MACD. I mean, it could mean that we go lower, but how much lower? Not that much, maybe a lot. I don't know. It could also be a lagging indicator and we're about to bounce and move up higher. I mean, these oscillators are getting close together. Whenever they get close together, you typically bounce, right? Like here, you got close together. The blue came up to the orange, and then they bounced off. The blue's coming down to the orange. Maybe they bounce off to the upside, but we'll see. Daily time frame, looking at this now. Stochastics. The stochastics are weird. We're not getting any signals yet that we're ready to move up just yet, but we are reset. We are oversold, so that's kind of nice. You know, anticipating upwards movement rather than downwards movement, at least from here on a larger scale, I would think. The RSI rejecting the 50 is not good. We don't want to see that, but you do have higher lows overall. This higher low trajectory, higher highs, all that stuff. It's a very bullish looking RSI overall, in my opinion. Getting very deep into the overbought zone, coming down like this. We're hoping that we find support here and hoping that we don't reject the 50. A good way to avoid rejecting the 50 would be to get today to close green. If today closes green, we don't reject the 50. If it closes red, tomorrow might have a different tone in its video. Tomorrow I might have a different tone in my video. The MACD. The MACD is bullish overall. You can keep going down from here and it's still bullish as long as we find support at the 0. I'm okay with that. As long as these oscillators stay above the 0, I'm okay with that. So right now, I guess we're just in this wait and see environment. We could do so many different things, man. There are so many possibilities, and they all have decent chances of happening. From a 1 hour perspective, based on the indicators, I would say from here we actually might move up. 4 hour indicators also suggest that as well. But based off fib retracements, based off of this gap here, we take a low to a high. I mean, we've closed below the 382. We found resistance here a few times. I mean, to me, it would just make sense being right here below the 0.5. It would make sense to go to the golden ratio. So what I'm thinking is going to be the most probable outcome is we go down to the golden ratio zone, we bounce, and then we pump up enough by the end of the day today that we actually close the day green. We're down 5.8%, and I assume that today we will close green. That's the call. We bounce off the golden ratio, and then we move up and close the day green. That's one option. Option 2 is maybe we just move up from here. You know, maybe instead of going lower, we just look like we're going to go down. We get a triple bottom or whatever here, and then we break out to the upside. Option 3 would be we actually go lower, and maybe we come back down to this low, and then we're in some scary territory there. Because do we get a double bottom? Does this mean that we bleed down to the 786, 886 levels? You know, this one, in my opinion, is the least likely outcome to happen. I would say this double bottom would be something I'd be more prone to expect rather than lower lows, but anything can happen from here. But again, the most likely outcome, at least in my eyes, what I'm calling for is this. Bouncing off the golden ratio, moving up, all by the end of today. We have about 9 hours, 20 minutes left in this day. And I think that we should be, hopefully, above 0075 by the end of the day. A daily close above 00758 validates whatever low we have. Okay, we have to close. You see how you get right up here and you close right there, but you're just not closing above it. If we get a day to close above this level, that will validate whatever low it is that we have, whether it's here, whether it's there, wherever it is. This red line is what determines that. So I don't really have anything else that I want to say. I'm hoping that we get this little dump going right now. I hope it just get it done out of the way. There's no interest. There's no selling pressure. There's only buying pressure. People take it for what it is. They seize the opportunity, and then that FOMO just builds in a short amount of time, because then people who are looking to buy here but didn't pull the trigger, they start to realize, oh my God, that was my chance. Now it's either now or never, and boom, then we break out. The next target that we're going to as far as higher prices goes should be somewhere around 2 cents. I mean, imagine buying at 0.00708 and catching a move that in the next week or two goes up to 2 cents. From a high to a low, the expectation here, if we were to go up to the golden ratio, it would be 1.9 cents. That's a 2.7x to 2.2 cents, 2.3 cents would be about a 3.2x. Phenomenal potential here. And likely we see this, I think, over the next couple of weeks, if not certainly within the next month. And as February and March develop, we're expecting higher prices. I'm expecting that we see a high that's higher than this relative here. That should be about a 14x move from the current price, if not more. Right, 10 cents, 14x move, 23 cents, 30x move, 32x move. I am thinking personally that we probably don't push to new all-time highs with this move, but we could. We could. New all-time highs are above 18 cents. I'm in favor of this 10 to kind of like 15-cent zone. Perfect, personally. Why can't I talk? Why am I stuttering and stumbling so much? Have you guys noticed that? It's like today I keep glitching out on my words. I don't know what's going on. I didn't sleep that much. Maybe that's what it is, and that really could be what it is. But something between 10 to 15 cents. That's what I think is going to happen. And again, likely by the end of Q1. If not, it could be sometime in Q2, maybe April or May. I wouldn't think it's like late Q2, but early Q2. But probably late Q1 is when we'll be up here. That's the expectation overall. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Okay, take care of yourselves. Bye bye.